Hi, this is Mark from learnhowtogarden.com, and in today's video on the 10-minute gardener, we're talking about potting on. Potting on is the process whereby we take plants that or seedlings we've started into growth and move them to a larger pot size. So basically we're going to pot this on to give it more compost, more room to grow. And we're going to be potting on some tomatoes. These are tomatoes we sowed ourselves, popped in the propagator about 4 weeks ago. As you can see, they're quite healthy, very, very green. You want to be handling them just with these two leaves. These are called the seed leaves. They're really surplus to requirements. We don't want to be handling by these, and we certainly don't want to be damaging the stem. I don't know whether we can just sort of get quite close in on this stem or not. But all the way along this stem are tiny little hairs, and tomatoes are quite unusual that if this stem touches the ground, or in our case we're going to put it into a pot, roots will grow from this stem, and we're actually going to use that ability to increase the root area for feeding so that we'll actually get a bigger crop off our tomatoes. And as well as our own tomatoes we're going to be potting on today, if you haven't started tomatoes from seed by now, it's just too late. Forget it, it's a waste of time. It would also be a waste of time going to your local garden centre, because as we've said in the previous episodes on tomatoes, taste is what's important if you're going to grow this most popular of summer fruits. So please excuse my Siamese. I think she wants to be fed, but obviously not on the tomatoes. You still have plenty of time to buy tomato plants from a specialist. These have come from Simpson Seeds. These arrived a couple of days ago, and I ordered them specifically so we could show you, the quality of the plants you get. They're very, very similar to what we've grown, slightly smaller jiffy, it's for ease of transportation. As I've said, these two leaves are quite yellow, but don't worry about that. They really have no consequence once the actual plant is germinated. The particular variety we're growing here is called Rosada. It's a baby plum. I think probably one of the best tasting plums that is available on the market. A lot of you will sort of judge the taste of a plum by San Marzano. That's the classic Italian tomato that's from around the Naples area. Very few seeds in that, brilliant for sauces and things, but I think this really is a better one. So this is Rosado, and we're going to pot it on into quite small pots. As you can see, these are just little 3-inch pots. It doesn't matter whether you use square or round, except for one simple reason. Square ones will fit together much better in your greenhouse or cold frame and give you a better growing area. Round pots, you get an awful lot of wasted space. So I would recommend certainly small square pots. These are just very cheap preformed plastic ones. Again, I don't think it's worth buying expensive ones. For your seedlings, you really want to use them once and then not use them for seedlings again. You want them as clean as possible. I mean, they're great for a lot of other things in the garden once you've used them, but I think just once for seedlings. So we'll get some compost now, and I'll just show you how easy it is to pop these on. Hi, so you get some multi-purpose compost, and as we've said before in our compost post, it will come with a lot of bumps in it. Just take a couple of seconds to work it with your hands. It's like when you're making sort of, in the kitchen, if you're making pastry, you want to get the bumps out of this, the big pieces. And for my tomatoes, I always sort of add about 1/10 perlite. I think it opens up the compost. The tomatoes seem to much prefer the sort of area conditions. And I found that with the way we're going to sort of drop them quite deeply in their pots, it really does help with the rooting process so that we get all those extra roots that we're trying to get. So we take our pot, tiny bit of compost in the bottom. As you can see, not much at all. That's because when we take the tomato, and remember you pick it up with those two leaves, those are the seed leaves, you can see they're already minute amounts of roots coming through here, and we drop it into the pot. Now, as you can see, that's quite a way into the pot. If we can just focus on there, there's quite a depth, and it's that depth of stem that is going to root into this compost and give us more root area. So we just take some of our compost and very, very gently fill up the pot. And as we've said before when we're doing this, tap it gently with your fingers, gently. And as you can see, there's a lot of the tomato in the ground now, and that's what's going to root. So these are the last two of our rosadas that came from Simpson's seeds. What I would tend to do is actually take off these little seed leaves on these ones. They're yellow, they're not going to give you any sort of, growth whatsoever. And just finish potting these up. As you can see, we're nearly up to the bottom of the first three leaves, and that's absolutely fine. It's all about getting the maximum sort of root area at this moment in time. And we're going to grow our tomatoes in various ways. We're going to put some into the soil in our polytunnel. In our 10-minute garden, where we only have the little 6x8 greenhouse, we're going to put some of these into grow bags, but not straight into the grow bags. We're going to have grow pots. And it's quite important that we get this root area working, because we're going to feed basically just the top root area, and then we're going to use the grow bag really just as a water reservoir, which is all it's good for. And we've got a really quite interesting way of growing in the 10-minute garden, where we've got a solar powered grower. Just to see, it's I've heard brilliant reports about it. I've seen it work. I've actually seen the results of it, and you do get about 3 times as much crop off a single plant. So we're going to sort of show you the experiment with that. Quite easy to use. Once you've set up, it's brilliant, because it means you can go on holiday and do all sorts of stuff. We'll now water these very gently from the bottom. By that I mean we'll actually take each one and immerse it to about here in a bucket of tepid water. Now, the water I use, I collect a lot of rainwater in rain butts, and I keep a couple of buckets always in the greenhouse, so it's at the same temperature as the greenhouse. Imagine what you would feel like if I gave you a really cold shower or threw you in a plunge pool. Great after a sauna, not so good if you're going to get that unexpectedly. The same with plants. Try not to shock them with really cold water. All these little things add up. And I'd just like to reiterate again, too late to sow seeds now, but a great variety available still. Please use specialists. You get so much more variety, so much more quality, and they're so much more aware of taste. I'll put a couple of links on our website on learnhowtogarden.com for both Simpson's Seeds and the Heritage Tomato Company up in Yorkshire, who have a great variety as well. The other place that you might like to come across these is sometimes at farmers markets. You see people who, like me, have grown too many. Have a chat. If you find someone there who is selling unusual tomatoes, you can guarantee that they've grown them, and they'll be really passionate and keen about them. So we'll get these back onto a heat mat in the greenhouse. Far too early to put them outside, even the early varieties. Again, you don't want to shock them with too cool nights. Better to just keep them sitting there, growing gently, and don't feed them. That's really important. At this point in time, don't feed them. All you're going to do is sort of give them too much at the wrong time. Water is all they need. There's enough nutrients in this compost at the moment for them. Light is more important, and if you just want to have a look at the post we put about grow lights and why light is so important to seedlings. Anyway, hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll be showing you how to put these into your greenhouse, into the grow bags, and we'll be putting some of the bush tomatoes outside into our 10-minute garden.